In this video, I want to talk to you about memory, and in particular the method that I personally use when I'm memorizing poetry. I'm using it at the moment when I go to the gym. In fact, I was using it this morning in the gym because for the last 2 days I've been working on memorizing Ad Flavium of Catullus. And the method I use is the method of loci, which is an ancient Greek method, but this is an adaptation by a Victorian writer called Sams, based on the research of a whole series of writers on the subject of artificial memory, going through the Middle Ages right up until the Victorian period. And this is the culmination of the system, and it works like this. You're standing in a room, it doesn't matter what. The room's got 4 walls, 1, 2, one behind you and one here, a floor and a ceiling. And what you do, for example, I'm in the gym, and it doesn't matter what room I'm in, I don't really care, but the wall in front of me I divide up into 9 squares. And these 9 squares then become my topics, the places where I put information to remember what I'm doing. The 10th square is just at the top of the wall here, and that gives me a decimal system, because I've got 10 here. And then you either go around the room towards the right, or you go around towards the left, whichever way your natural inclination is. Mine is towards the right. So the next lot of numbers will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 here, and the 10th one here. But these, of course, are 11 to 19, and then 20 is up here at the top, just sitting there. I've made it red. Behind you, you can't see this wall, the same again, 1 to 9, so this is now 29, and 30 is this square here. And then we have 31 to 39, and 40 is this square here. And then we have 41 through to 49. So 9, 19, 29, right, 39, 49, and 50 is the square that's directly above the floor, which is the ceiling rows here in the middle. And that gives us 50 data points. The ceiling rows in the middle of the ceiling is the 10th for the floor. So it goes 9 and then up to the ceiling rows, giving us 50 data points in each room. So, for example, how did I memorize, or how am I memorizing Ad Flavium? I'm a native English speaker, so it's easier for me to remember the images I'm going to stick in here in English. So the first word is flavi delicias tuas Catullo. So the first one here, I just stick flavor. What I did, I ran through the first few lines, thinking of English words that match the lines. The next one is ni sint I lepidae atquine elegantes. So that's a knee. So a knee went here, person's knee. The third line starts welles dicere, nec tacere posses, and that's welles, so it's a well. So I put a well here. This is even before I started to memorize the line. The fourth line, verum nescio, quid febriculosi scorti diligis, and so I put a worm here. And then nec hoc pudet fateri, hokey pokey ice cream for hoc pudet fateri in number 5. And the line, 6th line, nam te non viduas jacere noctes. I haven't memorized that one yet, but that I had name worked out for that. The next line starts ne quiquam, and I decided that that word is sufficiently memorable by itself without needing any image, so I put ne quiquam here. That line is ne quiquam tacitum cabile clamat, and then certis ac serio fragrans alivo, and I hadn't yet got as far as memorizing, making signs for the next ones. And then this poem has not got that many lines, so it's quite, you don't use up very much of the space to memorize it. The beauty of this is that if there's a particular line that's giving you trouble, you just focus on it in its square, but it doesn't throw you out from the poem being in order. And of course, once you have the poem this way, you can actually, if you really wanted to, recite it backwards line by line, because you know the lines in order. This is quite a good system for memorizing the periodic table, because you have the atomic number for each element as you go. And that's quite good because you can jump around. If you need to add more information, then you can actually open a door in one of these and step into another room, which will then give you another 50 data points. So if you say memorizing a list of chapters of a textbook, and you want to know them all in order, chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, you put your little pictures here. Or if you want to memorize a code of laws for whatever reason, you put the topic of each chapter here, You can get your first 50 chapters here, and then you can go into another room for another 50, and another room for another 50, and so on. There are various ways of doing this. You can make the rooms have different colors, or you can put them into actual real rooms, like use rooms in your house. I find that for myself, once I've memorized the text, I don't need the artificial memory system anymore, but I do need it in the beginning. Or if I'm memorizing something that needs the numbers memorized, then I do keep the actual room structure. So this is from Sam's, this system, and it's based on other writers, but it's a refinement of it. And I think this is the most elegant of the systems I've seen so far. It's very simple. If you want to memorize an English poem, for me, I use a slightly different method. I still use this room here, but unlike with Latin, I actually put the whole line sort of with a picture of what's going on into each square. So, shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Here I just have a nice summer's day here in the first box. Thou art more lovely and more temperate. And so I just put a picture of someone very lovely and pleasant in the second box. Rough winds do shake the darling buds of May. Oh, that's very easy. You just put your boughs and the trees blowing in the wind and blowing the flowers off the branches. And summer's lease hath all too short a date. So here summer is quickly turning to winter. You can have a calendar with the leaves of it blowing off into the wind like they have in movies. Sometime too hot the eye of heaven shines. So here the sun shining very brightly. And often is his gold complexion dim. So the sun here going behind a cloud. And every fair from fair some time declines. And so you have one of these little YouTube videos where someone young suddenly becomes old. You can speed it up there. And so on. You work your way through the poem. And you can do this with any poem. It's a very, very rapid method. What you do is you sit down before you start to memorize the actual lines and the words, and you form the images. Now, not everybody is visual. I'm actually quite tactile, so I actually find that as well as thinking of the picture, I actually almost feel what's going on. I feel things, so my memory is much more kinesthetic than it is visual. And so in a sense, I sort of treat things like they're sculptures, and I can imagine I'm touching them, and then the objects are there in the box. Other people are much more visual. And some people I know that I've used this with actually are musical, and so they can associate sounds with the different things as well. So that's the method of memorization that I use to memorize poetry, prose, etc. when I do need to memorize things, or give a speech without notes, and so on. Hope you found it useful. Bye.